Steve. Hi, I Richard. How you doing? Very well, thank you. Take a seat, thank you.
Steve, thank you for coming in. It's great to see you again.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Today is a part of our conversation about our Through the Lens series, where we focus on the things that are going well for growth in the UK tech sector, and also things that are perhaps impeding growth in the UK tech sector. But if we start with you had a pretty interesting journey. You've gone from a podium at the Beijing Olympics through to founding a tech startup. How did you go from being an Olympic rower to CEO of Navigator?
I just wanted to test myself and kind of reconnect with my high performance self and made that leap of faith that, I wanted to be an entrepreneur, I wanted to run a business, I wanted everything to be back on me and for my performance to kind of dictate my future. And I had guidance, I had help, I met people who encouraged me and enabled that with me and made the decision, and I'm absolutely loving it. It's fantastic. But not your typical pathway.
Not at all, no. Do you think there are things you've learned or the experiences you had, as a high performance athlete in broadly that does apply over into business?
I haven't met a CEO or entrepreneur that doesn't talk about high performance environments, high performance teams, etc. But the reality is many don't, or most don't know what that looks like. I do. So you bring that into a corporate environment and you see exponential results, and people obviously respond to it in a really positive way. And that's around, enabling talent and focusing on people's potential and, and being, what I would learn very well in sport, which is, standing me, I think, in good stead as an entrepreneur, is I just fundamentally believe there was always a way. I just need to find that way.
So Navigator, your CEO, the founder, tell us a bit about what Navigator does.
So on the face of it, we're an advertising technology business or an ag tech business, and we're founded in travel. So we work with some of the world's biggest airlines and online travel booking platforms. So we deal with their first party data, which is a relatively complex topic. We have an innovative approach in terms of how we access that data. And then on the demand side, we go out and we procure advertising partners, whether that be big luggage brands, hotels, tourism boards, whatever it might be, who will find that data really useful. And we've got some proprietary technology that sits in the middle that enables that in a unique and innovative way. And you were part of this, Richard, right? An invaluable part, that in a 5-month period, we did a management buyout from a NASDAQ listed $2.5 billion, business. And we raised a Series A from start to finish in that period. And you kind of look back and reflect and go, okay, that was pretty cool. Like actually we did a lot in a short space of time. But, again, for my belief system is that I believe anything's possible. So it's like, well, why wouldn't we do it? Why wouldn't that happen? It just becomes very natural, but you do have to sit, reflect and celebrate.
Well, it's been a great journey so far.
Yeah.
If I might take us on to the UK tech ecosystem in the round, from your experiences, what would you say the UK tech sector does well as an ecosystem?
I think first and foremost, and I think this is underestimated, undervalued and underspoken about, there is an incredible sense of entrepreneurship in the UK. It's an incredibly complex environment, as you well know, right? And my fundamental belief is in capitalism. I did an economics degree quite a long time ago, but I'm a true believer that money should flow into the right places. And if the money's not flowing into the right places, then you need to do something about it yourself. We have this real sense of community in the UK, which I like, and I don't think you have that in the likes of the US, whereby suddenly you become this community of entrepreneurs and founders, and we all pull together and we talk about stuff together, and suddenly you find this community that I just never knew existed.
So there's some fantastic statistics about the UK. It's by far the largest country in Europe for fundraising,
right?
Particularly, venture capital and PE. But there remain these gaps, and the funding gap that you mentioned. Bizarrely, it's way easier to raise £5 million than it is to raise £250,000. It's nearly impossible. You need to be looking at wealthy individuals who are at like a level. But there is, and you're not quite at this stage. With your drive, we might be there sooner rather than later. There is, I think, an argument that there is a cap as well. That if you're trying to raise 40 or 50 million in private equity money at that stage, Series B round, that you fall off again about the availability of funds, which in some respects is why so many businesses end up fundraising in America.
Yeah, you're right. I think we're very good at putting things in boxes. I think we're saying, okay, you apply to this box and you apply to this box, but those boxes aren't joined up with each other, so you don't fall into one box or another. There's lots of businesses that fall through these gaps like we did, right? We're a mildly profitable business. We were at X million in terms of revenue, etc. We weren't early stage enough of the VCs. we weren't profitable enough because we had to tick a box which said you have to be 1 to 2 million of EBITDA over a trailing 24-month period, which we weren't. Sorry, we can't fund you.
Yeah.
I was like, well, hang on a minute. There's lots of these unbelievable businesses.
Yeah.
And I think the UK particularly, because we have the ability to be relatively agile and we have access to a relatively large amount of capital, not as much as the US, but still a lot, has the ability to really do something special and to specialize in certain things. And not like from our side, we're seeing obviously this huge growth in AI. It doesn't mean that we have to talk about it as broadly as, oh, the UK needs to nail AI, but we can take parts of it and say, okay, we're going to be specialists in this, and then we're going to grow that and then take it into the world.
So the other businesses, the other entrepreneurs in the tech industry you're talking to, is there a common theme to their AI strategies?
There's just so many unknowns. It's moving at such a pace, and at some point, and we've said this to the team and the investors, is that at some point we're going to have to take a stance on it. So at some point we're going to have to stick our flag in the ground and say, well, this is our belief and our philosophy in AI. But because it's moving at such a pace, we're having to trial so many different things. The key for me, and is what we're seeing amongst other founders in this space, is that whatever you're building today has to remain agile enough into the future that you can switch things in and out. So we're taking a more considered approach. In 6 months' time, we will start launching product and we're going to build it properly. But we're absolutely not in the business of building AI tools, because we would need a couple $100 million of investment, and it's a 1 in a lot chance.
It would be a moonshot as well.
Right, exactly. And that's the bubble that they're talking about bursting.
Yeah. What we probably haven't talked enough about is the pool of talent in the UK.
Yeah.
And how critical that is to the whole ecosystem of the tech sector.
We need talent, we need people who are way smarter than me that can go and build this incredible technology. We're very fortunate to hire a chief product officer who is unbelievable. She's come into the business and set our tech and AI strategy moving forward. Now, when you look at it, you go, okay, well, I've got options. I can go and offshore it into wherever in the world. I can hire here in the UK. I have to have a cost consideration versus a talent consideration. What we're finding is that the big organizations like Google and Facebook and Amazon, etc., are just hoovering up the talent, and the salaries are absolutely insane. Access to talent right now is one of our key drivers to our success and our growth story.
Yeah.
The more talent that we can have, the sooner that we can have it, the more we can grow and the more we can flourish and deliver against our ambitions.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing. In a way, we segue through to our next topic, which is what are the constraints on growth? Would you say government gets in the way, isn't doing enough? What do you think is the role of regulation insofar as it applies to the sector?
To answer your question, is like both. I think there's some great stuff the government's doing, the EIS and the VCT and the tax incentives to kind of motivate capitalism, motivate money going through certain places, which is fantastic. In the same instance, they're very protectionist, so they come along and then shut a lot of stuff down and then make it very hard and very bureaucratic to access this capital. But like all government or most government policies or things they get involved with, it is incredibly bureaucratic and complex and time consuming.
And slow.
Right? Which is a huge challenge for me that wants to just get going on stuff.
Yeah. Though you do, if we think specifically about privacy laws, and when we first spoke, it took me a while to understand that you're not a data collection business.
Right.
You sit between the data collectors and the data users. Was it a deliberate move on your part to sit and work with UK privacy rules?
Yeah.
And then how does that apply internationally?
Yeah, well, I think that's a great example of things that we're good at, right? GDPR is the gold standard globally for data privacy. Every single regulation, every single government that has released guidelines around it bases it off of GDPR. And we were involved in that and we were part of that, right? Which is amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, we looked at what was happening, obviously with the data regulations, generally as an industry where it was heading in terms of like cookies, and when you download an app and it says, do you want allow this app to follow you, and you say no and all that kind of stuff. So we were looking at that, and we specifically designed the business in response to what we felt was happening to future-proof our offering and our value versus the legacy competitors that have been around 15 to 20 years who've inherently done it the old way and will access our data at all costs and try and find everything out about us. We don't believe that. That's right. We don't believe that's okay.
If we think about the next 5 years, what are your sort of hopes and possibly fears for where the tech sector more broadly might go?
We haven't seen the innovation and the opportunity that we've seen today for a very long time. So there is a general excitement about what's to come.
Yep.
There is an apprehension and a fear because there's so much unknown, and that stretches our thinking and it stretches our ability to deliver against our ambitions and our goals and our strategy, etc., which I love and I embrace as a person, and that's why I'm coming alive as an entrepreneur.
What are your thoughts on the way UK tech businesses can or even should exit? Is there a limit on, for instance, the UK IPO scene is not great. Do you see enough of an ability to achieve exits in the UK?
We were very focused on the UK for our growth capital, because the UK quite rightfully identified this gap and dealt with it with the EIS VCT, so we could access that capital. We are looking at it from a UK and a US for our Series B, but our ultimate exit, we're really focusing on the US.
You think? Yeah.
They are just set up to do these things, and that's why it happens more. And there's certain nuances, like we're going through our option agreements at the moment with our team. There's certain things that are more market standard in the US which enable these bigger exits than there are in the UK. Again, we're slightly more conservative and considered around it, and to some extent that's okay, but if we want that, then we have to appreciate there's a slightly different route we need to take in order to get there.
So, final thoughts, where do you see Navigator in 5 years?
We will keep our eyes, ears and minds wide open to opportunity. We will follow our conviction as to what we feel is right, and what I really want to do is produce some unbelievably cool technology that scales and actually helps people and delivers value to businesses. And if we can do that, then success will follow. The only day that I ever allowed myself to think of an Olympic gold medal was the morning of the final. So if I focus on my exit event, I'm not doing what I need to do on a daily basis. And that's what I'm focused on at the moment, of understanding what opportunity we have ahead of us, what opportunity we want to grab hold of. I don't think we wedded in travel. We're going to be going across multiple industries and multiple verticals. We just happen to be born in travel. I think we can actually take a really unique stance on the AI space in our industry that I think others will follow and look at. And again, if we can lead that from a UK perspective, that excites me. And more broadly, I just want my team to fulfill their potential and to be rewarded for it.
Steve, that's been amazing. Thank you very much for coming in there. There's so much insight there that we could have talked for another 2 hours, but thank you very much.
I appreciate it.